My guest at this time is a multi-time WWE champion, as well as the owner of OVW and the new clothing line, Powerbomb. It's Al Snow. Al, thank you very much for taking some more time to chat with me here today.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate you having me on.
So let's start with it here, man. New clothing line,
Okay.
right? You're already attached to
Yeah.
collar and elbow. Why another clothing line? What makes this one different, Al?
Well, I wanted to start another project and wanted it to be a little different. Different designs, different take, reach a different audience within the wrestling community, and with a different vibe and a different feel. And it was an opportunity to go and you know it's no different than like Heinz or that has two different brands of ketchup. It's it's kind of like that. So I'm basically trying to create as much as I can and in different ways and different manners so that I can reach a broader audience.
Yeah, absolutely. So what is the feel? What's different about this than collar and elbow? How do you want this to differ?
The designs are a little more to a degree spoofs via through professional wrestling on modern pop culture. I know we've got one design out that's already kind of reminiscent of The Office and things like that. Well, a little more funny, maybe not so. Like I'm wearing the new design from Collar and Elbow that's a little more intense and aggressive, and the other ones are a lot more fun and they're a lot more kitschy, I say, and they take a lot of pop culture references as well.
Yeah, for sure. And I see you've got Dave Hero attached to this, and I think Damien as well. So, like, what's the team look like
Yeah.
here? That you're
Oh
working.
well, it's Brian Kinnison, Chad Miller, myself, Dave Hero, and Damian Nelson. Those guys, you may know those guys from Pro Wrestling Report. Had been around for quite honestly, what, over about 13, 14 years. And they were just recently for a very long time on Fight TV.
Yeah.
And so everybody has their input, everybody has their ideas on the designs, and it's just a new and different direction.
How
And
is
like I said, it like if this doesn't appeal to people, well then maybe the style of Powerbomb will.
well, they Brian offered me a shirt. I've got the whatever tank top power bomb
Uh-huh.
with the lightning bolt coming, so I can show off my guns this summer.
There you go. That's it. Yeah.
My-
Sun's out, guns are out.
exactly right. I'm looking forward to competing with you and Dave here pretty soon.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I'll try my best. I don't know that I can. I mean, you guys are big. So, but wait, while we're talking Dave here, how's Cal doing down in OVW? What's up with him right now, becoming a pro
Well,
wrestler?
Callan just decided to be a part of a match where he literally put his career on the line. A little bit of a mistake against a veteran, Tony Gunn. Tony is a two-time former OVW heavyweight champion, and to Cal's credit, he didn't back down. Tony has been kind of bullying him and doing what veterans do usually, and that's testing the young guys. And Cal had to, according to Tony, put things up, so to speak. Required to, put up his jacket and other things. Then he finally asked him to put up his boots, which meant he had to put up his career, and basically beat him. And now Cal's sitting at home. So,
Wow.
but you never know what the future will bring.
You gotta make him famous, Al. I want to be able to say I knew him when he was like 4. I don't have anybody. I know famous people, but I want one that I was like I knew him when he was like a real little kid. So I hope he comes
I
back. You know.
There's not been many that I could look at and just say absolutely this one's not going to make it, or oh absolutely this one's going to make it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, looking at Cal, I'm very confident that he's going to be just fine.
Good. Awesome. Well, Dave will be happy to hear that made the interview, I'm sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, back to what you guys are doing with the shirt you bring up. I noticed that they were kind of parody shirts, and
Yeah.
I was thinking about like you and like shirts, and like of course like the Job Squad infamously kind of had the NWO parody,
Right.
right?
Right.
So like who was were you the one that came up with the idea of like was that always supposed to be the Job Squad thing? You guys like the anti NWO?
Yes.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah, that was kind of like the idea. The Job Squad, which the Job Squad started out as just me being a smart aleck
right.
in the in the catering, one day, and was with Jim Cornette, and a bunch of the guys. It was during the time when they were all having gangs, like there were the Los Boricuas, and Undertaker had a gang, and everybody had a gang. So it got to the point, really, real life basically copied art, and that in the locker room, guys started dividing themselves into groups because you had the clique at that time, and everybody was very resentful and jealous of the clique because they pretty much ran WWF at that time.
Yeah.
And there were some people that had kind of lost touch with the business, and they had felt like when they won, they really won, and you kind of forgot the etiquette and the respect that's necessary in the wrestling business, and the real reason behind why we shake each other's hands. And they thought when they won, they really won. And I just found that absurd. I just got so frustrated with it. And sitting there with Cornette, and proclaimed that I was going to form my own gang, and of Aldo Montoya, Chris Candido, Barry Horowitz, myself. It was like 5 or 6 guys, and he's like, "Oh, that's ridiculous. What do you?" And I said, "Yeah, we're going to call ourselves the Job Squad because And he's like, "What's that going to do?" And I go, "Well, we're the most powerful group here." He goes, "Powerful group here?" I go, "Yeah." I said, "If Undertaker goes out and tombstones Barry Horowitz, and Barry stands up and dusts off his hair and walks out of the ring, who had the power in that match?" I said, "So a lot of people take that for granted." So I said, "I'm going to remind them." So it started out like that. And then the guys in ECW, when I quit WWE and I went to ECW as a loner,
Right.
Meaning loaned to ECW, not a loner by myself.
Okay.
And the guys there thought it was great, and they kept insisting. They're like, "Oh, you got to make t-shirts. You've got to make t-shirts." So I wanted to be the antithesis of what was the most popular thing at that time that was getting pushed the most, which was the NWO. So I made the very opposite of what you would think would sell, a white t-shirt, and then made the Job Squad logo similar to the NWO, and then put 1, 2, 3 for life on the front, and on the back, pin me, pay me with a chalk outline.
Yeah.
And and it went crazy. It just went out of the just insane. All the boys, of course, 1-1, and then at the ECW events, and this was in the infancy of the internet, and thanks to Jeff Jones, who's an amazing guy, set me up with an internet website and stickers and all this stuff to people could order, and it just went crazy. I sold probably more than 3,000 shirts from May to October of that year, just at events and on an infant internet system. So for $25 a shirt back then, it was fantastic. So and then I started creating different designs, and Road Dogg really helped when he wore a Property of Job Squad t-shirt out on TV on Raw. He somehow wore it out there, and then people saw it, and it went even crazier. So it was a fun and great time. I was very blessed that it worked like it did.
Man, that's so cool, dude. I don't know that I've ever heard the origin story of the Job Squad. And like you kind of gave it some cool detail there, because a lot of people, I'm sure they remember the Click and BSK, but was the Job Squad, were you guys like actually tight? Were you guys like a crew that,
No, no, because it's not real. I mean, it's just
I don't know.
That's why I made it, was because guys were making up real gangs in the locker room.
Okay.
And I'm like, well, then I'm going to make up mine. I'm going to, and I'm going to show them how ridiculous this whole thing is. So I'm going to put everybody together that, gets beat on a regular basis or semi-regular basis. And, we'll see who holds the real power in the locker room.
It kind of takes out a different meaning when you get Mick involved, I would think, right? Because like he was such a big guy that had won so many things at that point. For him to kind of associate with you all, I'm sure was, I mean, again, considering that this is just a thing you made up and we're kind of playing with, that's got to be quite a moment when you're standing in the ring at the hottest time in wrestling, and then like boom, your idea is fully flushed out and clicking with everybody out there,
Yeah, yeah, it was, it was, if they had taken it like they were starting to take it that direction, where like we were a group of rebels fighting against the cause, and Mick was part of it too, because he didn't, it was kind of like the island of misfit toys
Yeah.
type of thing. I think it would have worked, it would have resonated, but then I think they saw the potential for it, because we had that one run in with Mick in the ring, and
Yeah.
then they shifted the idea over to DX. So
Oh, so you think that like the Job Squad really kind of helped kind of usher in what would be DX? You guys were
well, I think the idea of of somebody rebelling against the standard, against the establishment
man.
type of thing.
Well, and you think about, Nexus and all the other groups that came after that, I think you could kind of, put into that same vertical there is the Job Squad. That's really cool,
Yeah,
man. I love the Job Squad, man. I thought it was like the
yeah, it was
coolest
fun.
thing. Super fun, man. And like again, tying back to the shirts, it's like you're still doing it, man. You're still just making fun parody shirts for people,
Right, yeah, and something that the key to either collar and elbow or to power bomb, really ultimately at the end of the day, is that I want to try to make designs that, if you're a wrestling fan, I mean, we've all faced this, okay? You wear the typical wrestling merchandise. One, if you're a grown man, the last thing you want to do is have a picture of another man on your chest. I mean, it just is what it is. But if you can have a design that communicates, something about wrestling, and it's, the material is very nice. It's not the typical bulletproof cotton T-shirt
Sure.
that would be able to stop a ballistic missile. Um, they're very comfortable. They fit well, and you can wear it in any environment. If go to, we've all faced this, where you face the one guy in the get social gathering that finds out you're a wrestling fan. He's like, "Oh, you're a wrestling fan. You don't know that's fake." And it's like, "Oh wow, thanks for having this conversation. I didn't know. I had never put the clues together. You're amazing, Angela Lansbury. You should be on Murder She Wrote. How did you define that mystery? I mean, that's incredible. Like, we haven't known, all of us, that wrestling is predetermined. For criminy sakes, let it go. Get over yourself. Do you know that Spider-Man's not a documentary on a teen who shoots jizz out of his wrist and sticks to a wall? I mean, it's ridiculous, the whole concept. But you can wear a shirt that shows your passion, and if you're a wrestling fan, you see things that are indicative and in that design that make you connect and go, "Hey, are you a wrestling fan? Oh yeah, man, I love wrestling," because you get it. If you're not, you just see a cool shirt that has a cool design, either like with collar and elbow, it's got a cool design, or if it's Powerbomb, it's got some funny kind of parody design that's also still kind of cool. And you can, and people just like it and they want the shirt. "Hey man, where'd you get that shirt?" And they don't talk to you about, "Oh, you do wrestling's fake," or anything like that.
Sure.
You can just wear it anywhere you want to wear it. And that was, I think I learned that lesson from Steve Austin, because I think that was what, besides him just being monumentally over in the ring, if you were not even a wrestling fan, the shirts he sold were cool. He had a smoking skull on the front of his shirt, and you wanted to wear that. You know what I mean? And the average person wanted to wear that, and that taught me a valuable lesson. I did very well with the Job Squad shirts, but when I went back to WWE, they wanted to take advantage of that. They licensed the Job Squad from me, and then they couldn't do anything with it because they kept trying to figure out how they could sell that to the common, average, everyday person who wasn't a wrestling fan. You know, and meanwhile, I did incredibly well with t-shirts. Again, like, I sold a really astronomical number through a very limited means,
Yeah.
in a very short amount of time. But meanwhile, Steve Austin's t-shirts were in quite literally in every store in the mall. They were at fair carnivals and fairs. They were at flea markets. They were at Walmart. They were at Target. They were at, and I tell young wrestlers all the time, you're a product, and you've got to make the decision, and it's all success. But do you want to market yourself to, like the Job Squad, just to a wrestling audience? Or do you want to be Steve Austin and market yourself to Mr. and Mrs. Walmart, who are the largest percentage of the population in the United States? The money lies in the fame, and the opportunities lie with Mr. and Mrs. Walmart. So, endeavor to be a person that markets themselves to that.
We talked about Mick there a little while ago.
Yeah.
I always loved y'all's relationship, especially the way he would write about you in his books. Are you guys still friends? Like, you guys still hang out? You guys communicate or no?
We're still friends. I haven't seen him in a while and haven't gotten to talk to him because we're both, you get so busy going your separate directions, and it's just what it is. I mean,
yeah.
I think because the one of the few things I've learned in life is that, one, it's relentless, it never stops, and two, as a professional wrestler, you're always, looking to the next day, you're always looking ahead, you're always looking forward. And so sometimes that's a little hard to keep in touch with and keep connected to people, because it's good when they're right there with you and they're, in the car beside you and they're going to the hotels and, restaurants with you. It's you make a bond, and you make, the camaraderie is there, but the great thing is, like, for all of us within the wrestling business, like, we may not see each other for 6 months, a year, 2 years. Man, the minute we see each other back at a convention or something, it's like a family reunion. It's like none of that time has passed, and all of it was irrelevant. And and we reconnect. Like, I don't even think that it's a reconnection. I don't think that the connection's ever gone. We just pick right back up from, literally, I've walked up to people that we had a conversation the last time in a car, walked at them, hey, hugged, and that conversation picked right back up that we had in the car 6 or 7 years ago, and without missing a beat. You know what I mean? It wasn't, hey, what have you been doing, or nothing. It just, hey, remember you said such and such in the car? Yeah, and you didn't agree, and go right back at it again.
Yeah. He wrote in his book a story I always wanted to ask you about, a car ride where I believe you held in a fart for several hours so as to not offend his wife. Do you?
Yeah.
Do you? Do you
Yeah,
recall
that was painful. That was
That's what
painful.
I was about to say, man, because holding in a fart is hard, and doing it
Yeah.
for several hours. I've often thought
One
about.
of the guys could never hold in a fart would be Blue Meanie. So, and let me tell you something. Oh my God. He and a referee in England, a good friend of mine, Steve Linsky, like, when they do it, it's like they've emptied a colostomy bag. There's no other way to describe it.
Okay. Okay. Man, it's just, I'm glad I brought that up to you, because I always thought about how hard the abdomen and then your colon. I mean, holding a fart in is hard, man. And you did it for hours. That's a
It's
test.
great. It's a great glute experience. Great glute workout.
Okay.
Really make buns of steel.
I would be remiss if I didn't follow up on one thing you said earlier, that I
Yes.
thought about while I've got you here. You brought up the faction warfare, the gang warfare, how everybody had a faction, all that. Obviously, that's kind of back in style a little bit over at AEW. I don't know if you've
Yeah.
noticed, but everybody over in AEW seems to have to be in a faction. There's very few
Right.
lone
It's
wolves.
like it's prison. I can see them at catering trying to shank each other.
Are you a fan of this? Do you like the all-out faction warfare thing they're doing over at AEW?
It can be very interesting, because it can be a very interesting dynamic that leads to creating, great storytelling. And that's all that really matters, is as long as you use it in the right fashion. And so, listen, within the realm of professional wrestling, okay, because this is what it is. It's the art form of physical storytelling within the context of a competitive situation. That's the key. Okay. That's the key. That's the logic within it. That's what allows an audience to follow it, because without the context, without the framework for any type of story, then it's just a bunch of random, directions and no real character development. But you need that context, that framework of a competitive situation. So, and always in those situations, you got to ask yourself if it were real. If it was real within the context of professional wrestling, you're a prize fighter. You're trying to make a living. You win, you make more money. If you lose, you don't make as much or none at all. It would behoove you to benefit you to, get people that would be willing to protect your back and watch your match, and at some point maybe intercede on your behalf, and ensure the fact that you're going to win. Now, if there's a group that starts doing that, i.e. the heels start doing that, of course baby faces would want to band together to make sure that the odds were evened and that they were now watching each other's backs because the other guys were as well. So, if you can tell some great stories that way, and you can build to a, jumping off point that takes the brand, the promotion in a whole new direction.
Well, Al, I want to thank you so much for the time, man. It's always so great getting to pick your
Oh,
brain.
thank you.
And especially like, dude, I'm surprised that I've never like geeked out and talked to you about Job Squad on this, and just hearing you tell, just hearing the verbal history of where that idea came from and to what it was and everything. That was just a lot of fun for me. It was a great way to start my day. So
Yeah, I never knew when I did it. I thought it was just I was being a smartass, and and then it turned out to grow into something and much more. So you never know. You really honestly never know what your ideas can become.
yeah, kind of birthed the smartass kind of era, I guess. Anyway, Al, I want to thank you so much for the time. Where do you want to send people to find you, Powerbomb, support it, buy everything like that?
Okay, if you want to follow me, you can follow me at the Real Al Snow. There were some fakes. If you want to basically make people think that you or me online, I'll just send a message to you and go, look, set the bar higher. I mean, if you're going to fake being a celebrity, do better. Come on. I mean, really. Because you're thinking you're going to be me and you're going to slide under the radar and nobody's really going to call you out. Don't worry. They're not, but I probably will notice it. So, and Powerbomb, go to powerbomb.com. You can follow it on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, same thing, Powerbomb. And check it out. We've got a lot of great new designs over there. And again, it's a little bit more of a fun, type of designs, but same great materials for the shirts and all of that. And I think people will really enjoy it.